Let me know when.
And they have it at 2 or 3 fields around here. They have it
Got the
at
Woodcliff like tennis.
Glenrock, they have it at Glenrock, they have Woodcliff Lake, they have it at Fair Lawn as well.
The more the merrier.
That's just one for people to see.
You got a copy?
Woodcliff Lake, it's a different environment because tennis courts. You can't see, you can't.
We're going to get started. Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. And please, everybody, let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. President Escobar, would you please lead us?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You. This is a meeting of the Hillsdale Council on this 10th day of December, 2024. Notice of the time and place of this meeting has been provided to the Ridgewood News and the Bergen Record. A copy was posted in the bulletin board outside of the meeting room and provided to any interested parties. Please silence your cell phones. Please wait to be recognized by the mayor during the public hearing and public comment part of the meeting. You will need to state your name and town of residence for the record. Will the clerk please read the roll?
Council President Escobar.
Here.
Councilmember Coletti.
Here.
Councilmember Fox.
Here.
Councilmember Oso.
Here.
Councilmember Rucco.
Here.
Councilmember Trojimuk. Here. Mayor Scheinfeld.
I am here. And we're going to go right into the oaths of office for the new fire department members. Come down here. If you want to have people with you or hook up. I got my pen on there. One time, you give me a pen, I bring my own, and I leave it here.
This time, someone to hold the Bible for them.
Yes. Otherwise, we just hold the Bible. Okay. We have
Oh, I know the sign.
4 people to be sworn in today. Great.
2 that I know of that are here.
2 that are here.
Only 2.
Only
Just the 2.
Okay, so,
Greg and John.
right, so we have John. We have Greg. Father and son duo, that works
Yep.
well.
And grandfather.
Grandpa's gonna hold the Bible?
After you remember him,
How's that?
like,
He's three, remember, in Hillsdale.
he's on the honor roll for Hillsdale. Before he went to Vietnam, he was a Hillsdale firefighter.
Thank you. Who's going to do first, son or grandson?
Same
Oh,
time.
you want to do it together? Well,
Can you
you
find that?
can do them both together, if that's what you'd like to do, that's great. Okay. So this time I'll just say state your name, okay? Right hand up. Is this a speech? Okay, we got it, ready? I state your name.
I, Greg South,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will support the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same,
to the same,
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office of Hillsdale Volunteer Fire Department
of the office of Hillsdale Volunteer Fire Department
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Gentlemen, congratulations. Get your signatures here. You got all the pictures with you?
Yeah.
You want it taken? Make sure you sign on yours. No.
That's me.
Oh, no, sorry. I don't know, I got them wrong.
Sorry, I'm humble. I shall be in trouble.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, my pleasure. Okay. Handle the rest. Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Guys, great to see you. Clerk, make it official. If you would like, complete the task. delivering it yourself. There you go. Okay. I was going to say, anybody who came for the swearing in.
Thank you.
There you go. There you go.
Good night, sir.
Thanks again for your service. Okay. Approval of the minutes. All right, we did that, okay. It is the initial public comment time of the evening. It's limited to 3 minutes and only items on the agenda. There will be a time for speaking at the end of this meeting on whatever subject you would like. I bet I can figure out what it's going to be. But at this time, we're talking about items on the agenda. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say on that? Okay.
The agenda. I don't have an agenda. Where's the agenda?
Usually it's...
Is the field, Memorial Field on the agenda?
No, it's not on the agenda as far as legislation goes. It's okay.
Okay.
That's great. Okay. We have no professionals for the monthly reports. We will move into committee reports. Let's start with Council President Escobar.
I have none.
Okay. Councilman Fox.
I don't have anything.
Councilman Coletti.
Just a couple quick updates. Board of Education meeting will be on 12/16, both the regional and the local. And the Environmental Commission wants to remind everyone that they'll be holding a 2-hour styrofoam recycling drop-off event on Saturday, January 11th. That'll be from 10 to 12 in the morning in the west lot across the street here. And I'll also say congratulations to Matt, Greg, John, and Alex on their induction.
Thank you. Councilman Rucco.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor. The Board of Health met on December 9th, yesterday. Yourself, the BA, and I attended. Purpose was to discuss the BA's recommendation in light of the departure of our borough nurse several months ago to replace Northwest Bergen Regional Services with the county's Department of Health Services. The potential savings, originally thought to be $20,000, I guess has now been up to about $47,000. There is some concern on the part of the Board of Health over whether the replacement is truly an apples-to-apples replacement, and also whether the county can provide the type of personalized service to our residents that Northwest Bergen has been providing to us. There was a discussion about steps to improve communication between the administration and the Board of Health. Next step is that there's going to be a meeting among the BA, the Board of Health president, I think some other Board of Health members, the county, and myself to clarify the services that the county can provide and ensure our residents that the service that we would be getting from the county is about equal to what we've been getting to Northwest Bergen Regional. That concludes my report.
Okay. Councilman Oso.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to start off tonight by applauding the Hillsdale Fire Department, who, along with departments of neighboring towns, responded to a call on Bedford Street within just a few minutes and controlled a significant fire in about 15 minutes of arrival. There were no injuries, and both residents and volunteers were deemed safe. And an update to the Fire Department annual activity. In 2024 to date, there have been just under 250 calls for service that have been answered by at least one unit. A big thank you to all the volunteers. Due to weather, the lighting event in Veterans Park is rescheduled to this Thursday with a start time of 6:45 p.m. The Field and Parks Committee met on Monday morning with the borough engineers. The feedback collected over the last few weeks was consolidated and discussed. The engineers will take that feedback and incorporate it into another design that addresses those concerns raised. I believe the borough will be in a position to share that sometime in mid-January. The BA, Mike Casali, will go ahead and go over the timeline that he has formulated. And I think he's going to read it specifically and go over each individual item over the next, what the residents could expect over the next few months. I would also expect at that time, in mid-January, that there will be an additional opportunity for discussion and feedback from the residents. That's it, Mayor.
Okay. Councilwoman Trujillo.
Nothing for me. Thank you.
Okay, great. We have no ordinances tonight. Let's move on. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Report.
Mr. Mayor, for the DPW, we repaired a few potholes. Just so you know, the leaf collection will stop. The last day is going to be on December 16. For the field committee for Memorial Field, there's a timeline that we have for the public. There's a copy of this on the side, and this will be posted on the website tomorrow morning. We started, after discussions, in March of 2024 to engage Collier Engineering to do a survey and to give us a plan on what can they put in the footprint of the current field. On May 7th, we passed a resolution to do the authorization to proceed. We received the first concept in July, on July 23rd of this year. We reviewed it, discussed it with the Rec Commission and with the Field Committee, and it was being discussed at each of the Rec Committees on the first Monday of every month, except for the month of August, which was canceled. On November 13, we held a town hall meeting where we went over what we have. About 60 members of the public attended. They gave us really good insight and feedback that we took back. It was all in good spirit. We did hand flyer before that meeting to the surrounding homes. We posted it on the website. We shared it on Facebook. We tried every way to let the public know that we are going to have a town hall meeting. On December 2nd, we took that feedback to the Rec Commission, where further feedback was collected from the public and from the Recreation Commission. And as Councilman Clemente said, on December 9th, the Fields Committee, which has 3 members of the council, myself, the engineers, and the chairman of the Rec Commission, went over the suggestions that we received. And we gave direction to the engineer to go ahead and come up with a new plan. And we told him to remove the parking lot from the south, move it to the north, remove the pickleball court, add additional basketball court, and shift the entire field slightly east to make more room on the side where the field house is, and give us a plan for the buffer zone and the landscaping plan. And there are 3 towns we're going to be announcing, and we will announce the time and the date to go and look at the actual lights that we are looking to use, if we were to use lights, to see them in action at night. The engineer will take time in January to revise the plans, and we told him to keep the lights with the schedule to turn them off at 9 p.m., and when there are no scheduled games, there are no lights. They will not be used. The buffer zone and the landscaping plan, and then the system for the lighting system, where it will be all remote access. In January of 2025, the plan will go to the police, to the fire, and to the EMS for review and to give their recommendation. We are going to be assessing Hopper Street and the surrounding roads to see if we would do a permit-only parking. So this way we don't jeopardize the parking for the residents. That's going to be on the table. The CFO is starting already with a financial plan on how we are going to fund this. With $500,000 going into the funding every year, we're looking at 15 years versus the 20 years on how much this will cost the borough per year. I'm going to be proposing that we have a homeowners meeting with the Fields Committee, the homeowners that are most affected by the lights and the noise around the field, just so we can answer all their questions one-on-one. In February of 2025, on February 11, that's the date we're shooting for, we will be presenting the revised plan with the financial schedule and the police and the fire and the EMS recommendation at a public meeting, one like this, where the public can have a chance to see it and comment on it. The council then will make suggestions, either move forward or make additional changes. Whatever that recommendation is, the next step is to fund that project with a finance plan. Between the first reading and the second reading, we are already into April. Somewhere in June, July, it will go to the planning board with the full concept plan. The engineers will take it back and actually now make it as detailed as possible, where the engineers at the planning board can review it and make their recommendations and changes. Until then, and then also the public will have an opportunity to voice their concerns at the planning board. Once the planning board approves it, then that's it. We have everything signed off on, and the field will begin immediately after. If this all goes through as we suggest here, this will be open for the 2026 season. Mr. Mayor, I wanted to share this so we're all on the same page, and that's the schedule we will try and follow.
So let me ask you, how exact are the dates as far as their ability to be pushed one way or the other? You've got February 11th is a very definitive date for when we're going to get a presentation on that.
Yeah,
That's the goal.
So we gave the engineers a month to work on the revised plan. We have to put the date, otherwise it'll keep on going.
Okay.
So they have a whole month, and they can do it within a month. They
So
gave
that's
us-
their deadline.
They-
Deadline to them so that we can meet.
Right. So if we have it in January, the Fields Committee will meet in January, we will meet with the homeowners in January, and we will be ready to present it to the council on February 11. And on February 11, I plan to present whatever we have at that time, even if we weren't ready yet, just so we're all aware of where we at on February 11.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions on this at this time? No?
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion at this point that this document, this two-page document that the BA just read to us, be sent out in a town notice by the clerk and be made available on our website.
It's going to be put on the website anyway, but I don't see any reason why we couldn't.
We can mail it.
If
There's no
you
reason
want,
to mail it.
we can put it in on the town notice. I don't see why not. Anybody have any objection to that? I don't have to get formal about it.
Thank you, Mr.
Sure,
Mayor.
that's fine. Okay. That's the end of the committee reports and the outline there. We're going to move on to the consent agenda, which is 24316 through 24325. I'd like to motion to introduce it.
Motion.
Second? Second. Does anyone have anything they'd like to discuss or take to the non-consent agenda? Seeing none, could the clerk please read the roll?
Council President Escobar?
Yes.
Councilmember Fox?
Yes.
Councilmember Oso?
Yes.
Councilmember Rucco?
Yes.
Councilmember Trojimuk?
Yes.
Councilmember Coletti?
Yes.
The consent agenda passes unanimously. We are going to move on to the public comment section. Everybody's got their hand up. They're ready to go. Okay. Remember, it's a 3-minute time limit. Please come up, state your name, town you live in, and when the borough attorney says time is up, the time is up. Mr. Lawler is the first to jump to it. Give him 1 second. Is that mic on? Just to make sure? Yeah,
Yes.
it's good. We're live. Good. We don't have to hit.
James Lawler, 265 Hillsdale Avenue, Hillsdale Baseball Softball Association President. I'm here today on behalf of 1,000 children in Hillsdale who will greatly benefit from the great job you guys have been doing to get this field done. So I want you to know, as the council, you have the heads of all sports associations and their members behind you 100% in support. So please know that. Please know that all of that support is there for you. And do not worry, because we know that there are going to be outliers who are against it, but know you have the mass support of every association in this town. Second, with a town like Hillsdale, all these active sports that we have, with these championships that we have, 14-year-old teams going to the Little League World Series, Super Bowl championships for football teams, we need a place to call home. At this moment, we don't have a field on a day-to-day basis that we know we can play on. What this project will do is bring that to realization. Our children, our parents, our coaches will know where to be every single day based on the completion of this project. We know we have a home base. We know where to be. Our opposing towns will now be happy to come play us, whereas now they're begging us to come play our home games at their fields. So thank you very much for that. As many of you know, the project started about 5 years ago. We know about the funding formula. We know about Centennial. Unfortunately, with the DEP, we couldn't get through. Last year, we finally came to the conclusion, okay, Memorial, Beechwood, Stony Brook. Unfortunately, Beechwood and Stony Brook are unusable when it comes to a synthetic turf field. Memorial fits the bill. Right now, both by size and cost, we're able to accomplish what we need for boys, girls, and adults. This is a huge step forward, as we've never had this in this town before. So when you look at the 4 fields in town, 3 of the 4 unsustainable in terms of what we need. 1 is, and I think you guys are doing the right job and a great job at getting us over the goal line for that factor. When you build a field like this, lights are very important. You cannot cut your day short in the late afternoon based on your investment. We are not asking to play baseball with 8 and 9-year-olds at midnight. I don't want to be there at midnight. But we are asking, like a 9 p.m. cutoff would be great. Is it 9:15 where the lights actually go out so people have time to disperse? That would be wonderful. I think that compromise can get the job done here with the lights. I know a lot of residents are upset. I live 2 houses from the field. I'm not upset about it. I can't wait for it. So I think some kind of compromise where it's communicated 9 p.m., we shut it down, games have to start at 6:30 for a 2.5-hour limit, gets the job done. I think what the BA has said already about landscaping, buffers, parking lot moved, excellent decisions. I think those were great ideas. I think they should be a foregone conclusion at this point. The technology that we're going to see with lights is tenfold.
Mr. Law,
Yes.
I'm sorry, that's your time.
3 minutes, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Jerry?
Hi there. I'm Jerry Beatty. I live at 64 Westdale Avenue in Hillsdale. I'm chairing still the Hillsdale 125th Anniversary Committee, which continues to be alive and well in town. Just want to catch you up on what's been going on. We thought the pathway in the park was going to be finished in the summer, but once we had it laid down, we got many more requests to add bricks to it. So we have 180 more bricks that the community has purchased. They are at the DPW waiting for good weather, and they will be installed. It really is a tribute to the town and the community, how it brought everybody together. We are really glad that Hillsdale will have this for ongoing perpetuity of our history. And then the last part is about the journal. We waited on getting the journal finalized till we had some pictures of the brick pathway, but it is the first color journal of every 25 years in Hillsdale's history. They've put together a journal about our history. It's the first time that it is in color. For all you sports parents out there, many of your kids are in the journal. Every sport is represented in the journal. It is something that we hope every Hillsdale family would take an interest in, and it should be on every coffee table in town. It makes lovely Christmas gifts. They are $15. We are selling them at the library. I do have some in my car if anybody wants any after this meeting. But we thank you for all of your support along the way. Thanks.
What's your name and what's going?
Rich Lamb, 203 Washington Avenue. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for your time and dedication. Across the street at Hillsdale United Methodist Church, I also sit on the Board of Trustees, so I understand the hard work and hard decisions that you guys have to make, so thank you for your service. I first want to start off by talking about needs and wants. The fields need to be upgraded. I can say the majority of us in this room truly believe that. Not just at Memorial, but all our fields and facilities. Centennial is currently being worked on, and I appreciate the videos that I see that you guys are sharing. I also hear that Beechwood is being updated. That's wonderful. That's a need. There needs to be transparency is key, and it's important for the community to be informed. Lights at Memorial seem like a want. A PA system sounds like a want. Let's take care of the needs before the wants. I hear the saying being thrown around for the kids, for the kids. I work with kids during the day. I'm a public school teacher. On the side, I also teach 16-year-olds how to drive. So a few meetings ago, I heard a parent come up and mention that what heartbreak he had trying to tell his kid that he can't play a sport that he loves. That was terrible. All right, so can we fix that? Can we focus on all the fields and facilities? Not just to mention, not just focus on Memorial. What about Beechwood? What about Stony Brook? I have 2 kids at home, okay? And last spring I was a T-ball coach, and I really want to continue to stay involved with the town sports for the kids. The narrative being created is that the local residents around Memorial are causing chaos and shutting down the efforts of our dedicated sports leaders, which is untrue and is hurtful. From my conversation with some people around town, the football program needs a true home. They need a place to call home. I feel that because my senior year, I didn't have a high school gym to play in. It got flooded. All our practices were away. All our home games were not at home. So I truly feel that. We made it work, and our current rec programs are making it work to the best of their ability with what we have in town. But we need to come together to find a way to make it work for rec sports, also be mindful of the local community, and take the concerns that are being voiced into consideration. And what are those being voiced? The noise from the increased field times, the lights on the field, the total cost of this project, and all the traffic that comes with the people coming into this area. From my understanding, all the rec teams are doing well, winning championships without lights. Why change what is working? Why spend $1 to $1.5 million on something that is not necessary? The fields are broken. Fix those and maintain those. No need to add on more. Finally, let's focus more of our energy on finding a way to give the programs what they need, giving the kids what they deserve.
I'm sorry, that was your time.
Go Hawks.
Next up.
Hey, everybody. So real quick, regarding Memorial, I've been to all these. Oh, sorry, Chris Martin, 219 Washington.
Nice to meet you.
Same. Regarding Memorial, I've come to all these meetings. Fields need to be done 100%. Nobody's, and everybody here, again, we're not denying that. But it seems like we're trying to build more of a sports complex than redo the fields. Centennial is a sports complex. It has lights. It has everything you need, baseball. It's got a multi-use field. I just don't get it. Football is the one outlier here, and to me at least, we have Pascack Valley, we have Pascack Hills. It's a multi-town sport now. There is no fee to use those fields, by the way. The school allows it for free. It has lights, it has turf, it has everything the football program needs. John Lawler, I don't know you. I'm sure you're... James, I'm sorry. I don't know you, but I saw...
Please address us.
You are directing.
Oh, I'm sorry. So there was a letter given to the by the HBSA to all the families saying that there are some families causing chaos to defeat this plan, and that we don't have kids in the system. I coached for 15 years. I had kids in the system. I dealt with these fields just like everybody else. I cleaned them up. I got them ready. We made it work. I'm concerned about noise, quality of life, traffic patterns, as we've all heard. I pay taxes here. My voice can be heard. It should be heard by everybody here, just as the people who want these fields should be heard. So I think the head of the HBSA can do a better job in how he treats people who live in this town with him.
Sir, we don't do that. Nobody does that. So, then you had your 3 minutes to tell the truth. Mr. Martin, your comments are directed to the governing body, and
Understood.
they are not to be specifically
Okay, well,
critical.
I want people to know.
No.
I understood. I just said I understood. I just want everybody to know that my voice should be heard just like everybody
Nobody
else.
has doubted
I'm not
that.
causing chaos. I just want
And
to live in a
that's why
good
you're
town.
here.
Okay. Completely different topic. I want to request that the mayor and council reconsider visiting ordinance number 12-04, chapter 292-22, article 3, which states that no vehicles are allowed to park on residential streets between the hours of 2 and 5. This past Saturday morning at exactly 2 a.m., the HPD gave out approximately 50 parking tickets in town, my house included. I've lived here for 25 years. I've never received a parking ticket. I've got a couple of warnings here and there, but never a ticket. I'll pay the fine. My 2 cars were parked there illegally. I did not call the police to let them know, so I'll pay the fine, no problem. That said, I think the ordinance itself is old and dated. I think most people these days have more than 2 cars. 2 kids, once your kids get their license, we get cars. Me personally, my driveway only holds enough room for 2 cars. I have no space without making a substantial investment in my property to put more vehicles. So I think my thought was, and I emailed the mayor early in the week, perhaps we can come up with a system where we can issue a residents-only sticker, like we do for the DPW to bring our recycling and garbage. This way, the police could easily identify cars on the street. They would know where people live. We're Hillsdale residents. They don't need to be ticketed. Cars that are out there between those hours that don't have a sticker, feel free to give them a ticket. I think it's a very simple way to make residents happy.
That concludes your...
Okay, thank you. I'll send this in an email back to you as well, and thanks for your time taking that.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Laura Jones. I live on East Liberty Avenue. I'm reading a letter written by Eric Santagato. He's from lives on Baylor Avenue. He's a coach in town, 8U Travel, as well as Mighty Mites, and I also coach with him. He's traveling, so he's not able to read his letter tonight. I'm going to just read right from the paper to honor what he said. Good evening, members of the council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I stand before you on behalf of the 1,000 children of Hillsdale who will benefit greatly from the proposed new turf field sports complex. This project is more than just a sports facility. And then he begins to list reasons why. Number one, enhancing opportunities for youth development. Sports and recreation are foundational to the growth of our children. They teach teamwork, resilience, leadership, and discipline, qualities that serve them for a lifetime. However, our current facilities are falling short of supporting these needs. Aging fields have forced teams to share limited space, cancel practices, and even travel to neighboring towns for playtime. I cannot tell you how many times we had to cancel games and move them to another town. Number two, increase home values and enhancing the appeal of Hillsdale. Quality sports complexes significantly influence property values and the desirability of a community. Families looking to settle down prioritize areas with strong recreational opportunities for their children. A modern, well-maintained sports complex would position Hillsdale as a premier family-friendly destination, driving up demands for homes. Impact on property values. The National Association of Realtors conducted studies that have shown that homes near parks, recreational facilities, and well-maintained fields see an increase in property values. A 2019 report found that proximity to recreational spaces can raise home values by 8 to 20%, depending on the quality and accessibility of the fields. Research conducted in towns across the U.S. has consistently shown that investments in sports facilities and green spaces enhance neighborhood appeal, attracting families and increasing demands for homes, which leads to higher property values. Three, safety and sustainability. Research in sports medicine journals show that athletes who play on well-maintained turf fields experience fewer injuries than those on uneven or poorly maintained grass fields. The New Jersey Athletic Trainers Society collaborates with schools across the state to collect data on sports-related injuries in high school athletes. Data consistently shows that poorly maintained fields are significant factors in injuries like ligament, sprains, fractures, and concussions. Synthetic turf fields will properly infill and shock absorption layers significantly reduce these risks. Environmental impact studies, modern turf systems, such as those with recycled infilled materials, and advanced drainage systems have been shown to use 50 to 75% less water than natural grass fields. Studies by organizations like Synthetic Turf Council supports these findings.
I'm sorry, but that
I'm done.
concludes your time.
I finished.
George Hernandez, 39 Clayton. Just wanted to continue along with what Mr. Lawler was saying. Something that's really important is the technology. Everyone seems to be really, really concerned about the lighting. And with technology today, if we notice and we go to any other turf fields, the lighting itself, the technology significantly limits the light pollution from the outside the venue. The halo effect is no more, and the light pollution does not pass the poles each light sits on. So as suggested, 9 p.m. would be I think a favorable time to expire any lighting or any sports activities. Also keep in mind that these sports aren't played 12 months out of the year. If you think about it, it's roughly about 7 months. So 7 months to see kids having a good time, enjoying themselves, and calling Hillsdale their home, I think is well worth it. So along with saying the funding, we all pay taxes in this town. That's why I moved to this town, so I could pay a little more taxes, so I could call this my home. And the sense of community is really disappointing with everyone that is against it. So with that being said, the funding, the project already has the funds in place to pay for the down payment and the ongoing debt service. So with $1.8 million on hand and the $500K of the recurring tax revenue into the fund, Hillsdale will be able to pay down the debt, maintain and service its other natural grass fields and parks. The other parks are not suitable. Guys, take a ride, take a walk. Please Check them out for yourselves. They're not suitable for kids to play. Everyone is worried about turf, kids getting hurt. It's worse when you're playing in ditches. Thank you.
Mr. Abdaria, 21 Lincoln Terrace. Thank you so much, sir, for this gathering. This is the first time that I appear here. I moved back from New York to New Jersey to this wonderful town in 2015. Both me and my family, we suffer from asthma, extreme asthma. Last time when there were work being done here, there was a lot of dust that caused us very uncomfortable moments. I don't know how long this project is going to take, but whatever work's going to be done, if you guys can do this work with no dust, I have absolutely no problem. But if me and my family have to suffer again from extreme asthma, I'm going after you guys. There is absolutely no question in my mind. There is a lot of work. We have a lot of parks here in Hillsdale. I live directly behind the park. We have beautiful animals that comes in there. Just enough light. It's quiet. On Sundays we get the games, and we're good with that. We just spent a lot of money for this new school. It's going to have a new field. It's going to have everything our kids need to go ahead and play. Spending all this kind of money for this new park, new lighting, new this, new that. I see coaches, everybody wants to have this new park because everybody wants to work in here. If people want to see games and things like that, we have Shea Stadium, we have Giant Stadium, they can go and see that. Leave our area nice and clean, quiet, and this is why we came and we live here. It's because we want a peace of our mind. I don't need a place where they're going to be working for almost a year with all the dust and everything and getting my family and myself sick with asthma. Mr. Mayor, please think about this. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Rick Savino, 64 Westdale Avenue. I just want to comment on the timeline handout, page 2. Contemplating a 15 or 20-year bond for a 10-year field does not seem financially prudent. In 10 years, maybe 12 if it lasts, if it's not heavily used, but that field has to be replaced, disposed of. There's a disposal cost. There's a new foundation to go back under it. It'll probably cost more than the installation, and we're going to be paying off that bond for another however many years. It should not, it should be no more than a 10-year financing. We've already been paying for it for the past 3 years as we've been putting money aside in the capital account. So please, reconsider that and be financially prudent. It's also, a $6 million expense is not leaving anything for the other parks in town. As we watch Centennial, Beechwood still needs an investment similar to Centennial. Stony Brook Field needs an investment. And the community center is going to need an investment for furnishings, AV, audiovisual equipment, and everything else. And this money that was set aside was originally for a community center as well. And this is putting it all into one place at a very high cost. And if we're going to be paying for it for 15, 20 years, that's just doesn't make sense. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Craig Cardell. I am 5 Grove Street, and here in Hillsdale, I am the president of the Football and Cheer Association. Before I get started, I would just like to say thank you to John Escobar. I believe this is your last meeting on the council, if I'm not mistaken, so thank you for all your service, and everyone else that comes. I just want to touch on a few things. The traffic. I understand the concerns, right, and the impact of the new field, but I want to make sure that everyone is aware that it was so eloquently stated over the past 15 to 20 years that the numbers of participants in the youth program has decreased roughly by half, if not more. While this trend highlights the need for better facilities to engage more families and grow participation, it also suggests that the traffic levels associated with the program's activities will not reach what they were in the program's peak years. The lights are paramount. Football's always been very respectful. 9 o'clock, we have no problems with that. The need for the 100-yard field. We play in the Bergen County Junior Football League. It is 80 yards by 40 yards for our Mighty Mites, Pee-wees, and juniors, and it is 80 yards by 53.3 yards for our seniors. Okay? So, other leagues, North Bergen Junior Football League, Meadowlands Junior Football League, Tri-County Football League, all play on a regular 100-yard field. And that includes their first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth graders, okay? So it's just paramount that, like, we need to meet the standards. Our league has talked about other towns doing some research and putting in 100-yard fields and where they are. So that's very paramount. Using the high school fields. I understand the perspective that we currently have access to the local high school fields, but it's important to recognize that this access is a privilege, not a guarantee. The high school fields exist primarily to serve the needs of the school's athletic programs, and those needs must take precedence. We have been very fortunate to have access in the past and relying on the high schools. But the challenges are scheduling conflicts. Sometimes we get bumped. Limited availability. Sometimes we have to play the games late on a Saturday. People don't like that. Families don't like that. And long-term planning. We want a home of our own. Like, that's just, you know. So we value our relationship with the high schools and their support, but our town's youth program deserves the stability and the independence that a dedicated field can offer. Let us create a lasting solution that ensures we can continue to provide quality opportunities for our kids. Having our own field is an investment in the long-term sustainability of our youth programs. It provides young athletes with a reliable space to play, grow, and develop without being subject to external limitations. This new field is not just about football. It's a multi-sport field complex for other sports. It's about giving our youth athletes access to some opportunities other towns provide, ensuring their safety and fostering community pride. Investing in this field is an investment in our town's future. It supports youth engagement, healthy activity, and community pride, and I encourage everyone to see this as an opportunity to grow responsibly while addressing any concerns collaboratively. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Amanda Gallo. I live at 383 Magnolia Ave. I am currently the softball president in town for the HBSA. I served as the T-ball coordinator for 4 years prior to that. I have 2 young children in town. I grew up in Harrington Park. My husband grew up in Northvale. And 10 years ago, I was really proud to buy a house in Hillsdale, that I was able to do that for myself. And now I go to some of these complexes in towns that I feel, sports facilities and complexes, to towns that I feel, personal opinion, inferior to Hillsdale. And I'm embarrassed. And I'm embarrassed for our children as well when we go to those facilities, that we can't offer them the same facilities and fields and complexes that some of these other towns have. Towns that I looked at houses and made the conscious decision to not buy houses in these towns because I felt that my children and my future family and I was better suited in Hillsdale. I can't tell you how many days at work. I'm fortunate enough to get a couple days at home working from home. How many hours and days that I've missed going out to fields to check to see if they're wet, if they're playable, making phone calls to other towns, other coaches. I can't tell you right now, but I could tell you in an hour to see if maybe we can get to a field, maybe I could salvage it. Usually it's not. A lot of times the town will completely shut down a field completely. No one likes the guy who invites themselves over. And a lot of times I've had to call a town and go, look, I'd hate to cancel on you. I can't host you. Do you have a field? Can you take us? And a lot of times it's not, because they have scheduling conflicts too, because all of their teams are able to still play on that day because their fields are playable and ours are not. So for me to go, hey, can we come over? No one really appreciates that. And it's embarrassing to have to ask that, and to ask so much of our volunteers, all of our coaches, they're all volunteers, and it's become more than just coaching. It's field maintenance and these types of things, phone calls and scheduling and scrambling. It's a lot to ask these parent volunteers who have full-time jobs, who are running households, to also come out and volunteer. We need volunteers or the program's not going to work, but we're going to ask all of this extra work of you and all of these added stressors that these people are not prepared to take on. And they do it for one season and then they drop out because they can't take it on. And a lot of it is due to our fields and our lack of field maintenance and not having a reliable sports complex that we could call home. And I know that if it rained, I know I have a game scheduled at Memorial, or maybe there's an opening and I can get in at Memorial, and I know that I could still play my game. And I know a lot of the sports facilities feel that. I know I'd hate to talk about another program, but I know Lou Casal's here from the Soccer Association.
Ma'am, I'm
Sorry,
but that concludes your 3 minutes.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks.
Thank
Good segue for me to get up. No. Louis Casal, 96 East Liberty. I'm also VP of the Hillsdale Soccer Association. I was here at the Rec Commission meeting, I think a week or 2 weeks ago, and one of the things that stood out to me is one of the families that lives near the field had said they're young kids, right? They're worried about the traffic, a 2-year-old, 3-year-old. That 2-year-old, that 3-year-old is going to be 8, 9, 10 years old at one point, right? And these fields are critical for our kids to be able to get the appropriate time for both practices and games, and to be able to be proud of where we live, which I am already. I grew up in the Bronx. Most of my years playing sports were on concrete, blacktop, and rocks. And it was brutal. Most days I didn't want to play sports anymore because I'd come home with banged up knees, and my father would normally say, all right, tough it out and play. The reason we moved to Hillsdale was to give something better to my kids that I didn't have growing up. And one of that is fields that are playable. We had a tournament for soccer in October, and Kevin Donatello had to come out with a shop vac to take water off the fields. It's ridiculous. And I think everybody here, and I get, progress means disruptions to some people's lives. I'm okay with these disruptions. I think most of the people here who have kids want better for their kids. And I get it. I'm not going to be affected by lights or traffic. If I were, I'd still vote yes on this. And I think you have to think about what happens in the future, right? At some point, we have to think about the next generation. At times, we're kicking the can down the road, hoping somebody else will take care of it. The time is now to take care of this. Thank you.
Mr. Pizzella, come on up.
Hi, Frank Pizzella, 247 Hillsdale Avenue. I've served on council for over 12 years. I've lived in town for 20 years. Improperly lit and restructured rec fields can negatively impact property values. However, properly restructured and lit fields with appropriate lighting that reduces light spill can increase the value of property surrounding the area and also make for a better playing experience for the kids that are playing on it. When we had a problem with the farm, I didn't say, I don't live up there, and I don't think anybody in Hillsdale did. We helped all those people up by the farm, and we helped make sure that parking was moved out of that area. When we had an issue with public service and them increasing their substation, we worked with them to make it look like a streetscape, and now if you go down there, it kind of looks like a building. We all worked together. When we had an issue with COA, we met with COA, we discussed COA, and we made sure that our share was fair. When we had to deal with waste management, we worked together to create a redevelopment area that's bringing $30 million into the town, plus over $600,000 a year in taxes. Just that area alone only pays $28,000, the entire area. But we did it together. We listened to what everybody was saying, and we got things done. That's how you get things done, working together. We're only asking, now I live by the field. I live in the little white house on the corner on Hopper. all that we're asking is that we be heard. I think at the last meeting, someone had suggested putting a couple of residents in the area on the committee, not to vote, because we're not elected, but just to give their opinion and help you get the best plan. That's really what we need to do, is get the best plan possible. And I would strongly suggest that you do that you put a couple of people from the surrounding area. I mean, you heard from all the sports associations and stuff, and you heard from Rec. I think it's important to also hear from a few residents in that area, because they could also tell you what goes on in that area and what they're nervous about.
Yes, sir.
And, I'm sorry?
Thank you. All right.
I just,
And
I'm sorry, just one last thing.
not you.
Okay. So I would just, and I really appreciate the fact that you're taking buffering into consideration and you're taking the lighting into consideration, because I brought it up at the last meeting, and I want to say thank you for actually listening to what I had to say. I'm just going to bring these issues up one more time. A buffering system is very important because people are used to not looking at what you're going to be putting there. So if you create a buffer, it's easier for the people that live in the area to deal with what you're putting there and also appreciate it better.
Mr. Pizzella, I'm sorry to say that concludes your.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Hello, I'm Frank Tripodi. I live at 37 Lincoln Terrace, and like the previous gentleman just said, I am a resident. I live on lot number 12, and your proposal so far has a pickleball court and a basketball court, which will literally be in my backyard. I have nothing against organized sports. I'm all for organized sports. What I am against is having, adolescent kids play music really loud, play basketball all night long. All I hear is that ball dribble, dribble, dribble. And now you're moving it from the other side of the park, literally in my backyard, where he said there is no buffer. There's just a chain link fence right there. And I know that you guys are reorganizing everything like that, and I would like to see it. But I agree with the previous gentleman said. You should have some of the residents give their input on what's best for the community. Like I said, I'm all for sports. I played sports growing up. I enjoy watching the game, sitting out on my deck and watching it. But it's the times that get, during the summertime, all you hear is the basketball court, kids shooting off fireworks, playing loud music from their cars, their boom boxes. That's my real concern. I don't mind a few hours, like on a Sunday or a Saturday, you're having a game, or a Friday night light game. I enjoy it. I like to sit there and watch the games. But it's the off hours of the recreational sports that I'm concerned about. So it's something that I would like to talk about in January when you do discuss the buffering and the relocation of assets and everything like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, fine.
Hi, I'm Ellen Rawl. I live on 65 Hopper Street, which is the opposite side of Hopper Street that nobody takes into consideration with this. We are a little tiny dead-end street. For those of you not familiar with it, it dead ends. There is no cul-de-sac. One side of the street is a high hill. The other side is low. 5 of the houses, only one has a flat driveway. My driveway is extremely steep and hard to navigate. So when these games go on, even now, cars come down and park on the street. They look for an easy way in, an easy way out. My street is not it. It's not capable of taking all of these big SUVs. People park far from the curb. I have to back from my driveway down a steep driveway, and cars are parked behind my driveway, which makes it almost impossible for me to cut out of the driveway without bottoming out. The other issue is the number of cars on any given day coming down the street, not realizing it doesn't go through, even though it does say dead end. They can't navigate the turn in their big SUV, even with no cars parked on it. So they use our driveways to turn around. The average car takes 10 to 16 attempts to make a turn. This happens every day, all day. My driveway is a mess. Cars bottom out on it all the time. It's disruptive. It's dangerous. I had an incident this year during the softball opening day or baseball opening day, whichever one it was. I was backing down my driveway, thank God for a backup camera, when a car with 3 little kids and a woman came barreling up my driveway and almost hit me. She had the nerve to get out and tell me I should have looked before I backed out. She was in my driveway. There's not adequate room for cars to turn around. I beg that during events, no parking either side of the street. My mailbox has been blocked. My driveway has been blocked. I haven't been able to get down my own street because cars are parked so far from the curb. You can't even make it down the street. I mean, today there were only 2 cars parked in the street. They parked right next to each other. It makes it very difficult. There was a delivery truck coming up. He had to use one of my neighbor's driveways to turn around, then back up the street. There's other towns, I've seen it. No turning in residents' driveways. It's a sign. I mean, my property is being damaged. This is going to be the epitome of it because there's no way there's going to be enough parking spots. There's no way. So even cars that aren't familiar with the area, just missing the parking lot or waiting for a game to get out and get into the parking lot, will not be able, they'll be coming down my street, they won't be able to turn. You can't have 2 cars on the road at once. We had an issue years back with a neighbor with cancer. They couldn't get the ambulance up the street for her because it was one of these games and they had cars parked on it. It sets all of us at a disadvantage. If I needed a fire truck.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, but that concludes your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello again, Kristen Martin, 219 Washington Ave. Again, thank you for all you do, and I do want to give a shout out to the fire department for their recent work and the ambulance at all times. I just wanted to remind everyone that holiday season, a little bit of peace would be nice. It's very disheartening when you live in a community like ours that historically has been caring and supportive of one another, and then you have a couple people who are now turning to social media, saying horrible things about our residents who live in the surrounding area, such as we are a part of the AARP and we don't care about kids, or we don't have kids, or we bought a house near a sports complex. We did not. We bought a house near a beautiful fields where animals played and children came. We had busy times a couple times a year. It was not a sports complex. It was never intended to be a sports complex. Sports complexes generally are not in the middle of residential areas. This would be very atypical. I don't know of any in the area that are dropped right in the middle of homes. Even though this project is likely to cost $6.5 to $8 million, there's not been a single person who has complained about the price or even suggested that children shouldn't have access to good fields. That has not been anybody's complaint. What I've heard residents say time and time again is that all of the fields should be improved. This is going to not only bankrupt us, it's going to make us that this is the only place kids can go, making it even more traffic. Our value of our homes will go down. So when they talk about people wanting to live, nobody wants to live near a big sports complex with lights and everything else. We just supported a $65 million addition to our middle school. We'll be paying that off for the next 30 years. A great point was made that we're going to be funding and paying for this turf field long after it's in the garbage, and we're going to be looking for another one. So I do think that we have these concerns, and the residents have every right to be concerned about these issues. The people at Round Memorial have rights. We have a right to a peaceful existence. This will eliminate our ability to have family time outside. It's going to be loud. It's going to be bright. It's going to take away from the homes we purchase. The high schools graciously volunteer the use of their fields that are more than adequate. If it's a little inconvenient and saves us $6 to $8 million or allows us to work on other fields, that slight inconvenience should not be the determining factor. And those of us that are trying to claim that we're doing best for our children should really consider their behavior on social media and the bullying tactics and the horrible things they're calling the residents that surround that area. I really think during the holiday season, we should start acting like a community and start thinking about what's good for all of the members. Thank you.
Thank you. else? Well, you've already had your 3 minutes. We're going to make sure everybody gets their chance.
Hello, everyone, and thank you all for your work here. Thank you.
Hello.
First of all, I'm Suzanne Desmet, and I live at 232 Hillsdale Avenue, so I live directly across from the field. I look out my window, and there's the field, and it has been one of the most beautiful things to look at since 1961 when my family moved there. So I've been in this house a long time, minus a few years where I lived in another house for a while. At any rate, it's been in my family. I want to support those comments that have been made up here by various individuals regarding the noise and the traffic and the one comment that someone just made a moment ago about why did you move there if you know you're going to have a... Well, that's not true. Not when we moved in here in 1961. That was not the case. I am concerned about the things that have been mentioned. The noise, the traffic is a very big concern of mine, especially because I'm right there. I have during the summer, I've heard, specifically because that's when the sports are taking place, noise and all kinds of things going on over there. But it's not, in an afternoon you say, well, you want the neighborhood or the people of the town to enjoy the world, enjoy the fields and so forth. But I am concerned about it continuing until very late at night, and the traffic is a big issue. It's, I hear a few people say, oh, they have no problem with it because they're on the street. But they're also part of the group. Like, for example, when we were talking about having a new school built, and there was a lot of controversy about that here in town. I taught for 41 years up in Ramsey, and we had to build a new school up there and stuff. I had no problem with that. There were some people that did, but I had no problem because I was part of the group. So those individuals that said that they had no problem with the field, obvious. And I totally understand. By the way, just so you know, I am pleased to look out and see the kids playing and so forth. I mean, I think that's wonderful. I have no problem with that. But I'm concerned about the noise. The traffic is a big deal for me. And the parking, this woman just mentioned it, with parking on their street and so forth. These are all things that we have to seriously consider. And I also was impressed with the fact that we've been going on and on and on about the fields that have been so shoddy, I guess, or whatever. I don't know what the problem exactly is. But why did it take this long for the other fields to be addressed? That I don't understand. But at any rate, I just wanted to show my support for the immediate community and around the perimeter of that park, because we will definitely be affected. And when they say...
I'm sorry, but that concludes your 3 minutes.
And I don't think it'll increase that price of my house.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much,
Anybody
everyone.
else would like to speak first time?
Hi, my name is Joanna Vargas. I live on 193 Washington Ave, directly across from the basketball courts on a Memorial Field. The park was a big reason that we bought the house in 2008. It was a beautiful area. It had the basketball courts. It had baseball. It had football. What I don't understand, and I didn't plan to speak today, but just hearing everybody, I echo a lot of the people that live around the area as far as the noise, the traffic is a big concern because the parking would all be on our side, the buffering as well. I'm not against sports. My 3 boys are, my youngest is now a senior in high school. My children thrived in Hillsdale playing sports. They had a great time, not a bad experience. They played soccer, they played football, they played basketball. Again, they thrived, they had a great time. So I've never been embarrassed to live in Hillsdale and play in the fields and have my kids there. It's just been a positive experience for my family. What I don't understand is why don't we talked about the other fields, Centennial, Stony Brook, Beechwood. Why don't we spend the money on fixing the problems there? What we're doing now is taking a decent field that's in pretty good shape and creating new problems, right? Why aren't we fixing the problems we have with the other fields? That's where I would spend the money. And It's just my opinion. I live there, and it's very concerning to us as residents across the street. But again, I'm all for sports. My family is a big sports family. I support the organizations, but I just don't support the changes to the memorial. Thank you.
You go next. Come on up. Oh, wait. He's going to be on deck.
Michael Fox, 34 Lincoln Terrace. So I think, and again, I've been here, I spoke. I've spoken 15 years ago, 10 years ago when we were looking at field renovations. I think the parents and the heads of the rec commissions are doing great jobs as far as taking it seriously to improve the fields here that we have in Hillsdale. It's something that I'm very passionate about for children. However, this has been a conversation for over 20 years since I've been in this community, and we have failed in general on all fields. So the key term I think that people aren't using, right, it's using in the fact of complex as a word. I go with the word for children and players is safety. Nobody's mentioned safety here tonight. The safety of the children is, to me, the most important, right? And that's the responsibility of everyone sitting in front of me. So when you're looking at safety and you're allocating $6 million, and I don't know where the $6 million came from. I heard 1.8, believe, is being funded, but I don't know where 6. So then maybe you go 7 or 8 and you renovate, or you take the 6 and you reduce it, and you go just like the school referendum went, right? You didn't pass the first one, so then you reduce the matter, and then you pass the second one. So you're looking at the high end first, then you're going with the low end. That's your decision to make. But $6 million could cover, or should cover, the complex itself and renovate all of the other fields. Those fields, whether you're looking at Centennial, you're looking at Beechwood, you're looking at La Crosse uses Stony Brook, and you also, just because the town voted the first referendum down, there was a beautiful field going in at George White. Now the schools, that was taken off the referendum. That doesn't mean the community, because you can bond, they can't go out and bond again. You can now go bond and help them renovate George White as well. So that's also on the table, because that field is in poor condition, as we all know. So I think when you're looking at lessons learned, I think the most important piece for this body here is going to be what we do for the entire town. And I'm going to tell you, as a former coach in this community, a lot of work needs to be done, and it needs to be done on all the fields, and it should be done, looked at, and maybe even on a rotating basis, and get it done. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, Paul Capu, Legion Place, Hillsdale. Just a couple of points I'd like to bring up. Obviously, we have to play the hand that we're dealt, right? Memorial Field is probably the biggest park or biggest field that we can improve, which will allow for the most usage. Beechwood Field, as it currently stands, where football practices and plays, it's a hazard, actually. I'm surprised nobody's been hurt playing there. The ground is uneven. When the kids run on it, the footing is uneven. I'm surprised nobody's been seriously hurt there with leg injuries. It's barely playable. So improving Memorial Field with artificial turf would improve safety. It would allow for usage, the constant usage, which tears apart the fields, the grass fields. So artificial turf is necessary, and without lighting, it would be the benefit wouldn't be there without being able to play there after 5 o'clock during the fall and in the early springtime. So, I understand the residents that live around there, but unless they can find another area or another field that can be improved, which is not Beechwood, obviously there's issues there with wetlands and the size. Parking would be a problem there as well. So we're going to have to deal with Memorial Field as being the only reasonable solution that we have to deal with. That's it.
Stout, 33 Hillsdale Court. I'm a rec committee member. I love the idea of that homeowners meeting. Would it be inappropriate to put a date on it? Would it be inappropriate for the rec committee to host that meeting after our January monthly meeting on the 13th? Is that something we can?
This is public comment, sir.
Okay.
So it's,
So,
but I'm certainly
suggestion.
sure Mr. Gasali would be happy to take your
I wasn't sure if
call.
it was appropriate. I just thought, I love the idea. I think the dialogue and getting the feedback, hopefully after some of those reviews have been done, we can make a more informed decision going forward. I just, whoever thought that idea that was, I think it was, should be commended. So, thank you for all you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, you only get one chance.
Only once.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I wish you well. Yeah, anybody got a problem with that guy? Anybody else? No? Okay, well, one more.
One more?
Our nurse.
My name's Andy Davis, 25 Lincoln Terrace. I spoke at the last meeting. I'm not gonna. There's plenty of people here opposing the lights. Like I'm not gonna go, and down that route. I guess I grew up in Hillsdale. I played in all the Hawks programs. I went to Pascack Valley, played in all the sports teams there. I'm very pro renovating facilities and having good facilities for our youth sports in particular. Obviously my backyard runs right to Memorial Field. It needs repair. I'm all about that. The one thing, I guess, just hearing it over and over from the sports programs tonight, why is Beechwood a disaster? Why is Stony Brook a disaster? Why is Memorial Field such an issue for rainout situations? My biggest concern, one, would be obviously our field maintenance. It sounds like we have a field maintenance problem in town. Secondly, just from a player safety standpoint, I'm not here to go after the turf plan. I do think a well-maintained grass field, statistically, it's inarguable. It's safer than turf. And I guess from my standpoint, nothing would make me happier than like a beautiful, renovated, same project that they want, but like a really nice, well-kept grass field. We live in New Jersey. Inclement weather is being part of youth sports here, right? The rainouts happen. It's outdoor sports in New Jersey. So I guess from my standpoint, the kids' safety, long-term effects, non-contact injuries with the lower body, concussions on a hard surface, like that matters more to me than just having, less inconvenient rainout situations. So I guess, I would like to reconsider the turf plan. I'm all for the plan, and I would pay more just to have a nice upkept grass field for our kids. So thank you.
Is there anybody else who wishes to speak? Okay. Seeing no one, can I get a motion to close the public session? Second, all right, we're closed there. The order was going to be that we're going to go into council commentaries, but I think we should go into closed session at this point. So we need to pass a motion to provide for a public meeting, for a meeting not open to the public in accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act. Matters are relating to attorney-client privilege, borough personnel. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second? All those in favor?
Discussion.
We are.
Discussion.
You want to go to discussion?
Yeah, that's a comment that normally I have to want a second. This resolution is supposed to give the public a sense of the topic to be discussed. And to quote, like, what the attorney has given me is Michael Payne's treatise on public meetings. Good practice dictates that resolutions be as specific as possible. Resolutions should contain as much information as is consistent with full public knowledge without doing any harm to the public interest. The use of the term that we've used here, borough personnel, I believe it is, Mr. Mayor, right? That is so broad. We're meeting in closed session to discuss a serious development focused on the Hillsdale Police Department. And that is not conveyed in the resolution. And I suggested this a couple of days ago, simply add the word HPD so that the residents know what department we're talking about. Otherwise, it could be DPW, it could be construction, it could be the borough administrator, it could be the clerical staff, the finance staff. No one knows. I've said this repeatedly for years, that this council is not always as transparent as it needs to be, as it should be. And this is one more example of that.
Okay, well, you've said your piece.
There's a motion.
There's a
and
motion.
second.
Is there a motion? He wants to supersede that.
I'm sorry, was there a motion to supersede?
I did not make a motion
okay.
to supersede.
Okay, so-
I had a comment about the way this resolution is
That's
formulated.
fine. Can we get a motion on the resolution at hand to go into public meeting? Attorney-client privilege, borough personnel. We had a motion.
We had a
We had a
motion.
second. All in favor?
Aye.